My best friend has a problem. You see, for the past few years, he has been absolutely obsessed with all things Subaru. From a 400 wheel horsepower GC8 that embarrassed the local V8s, to his classy and demure WRX, he's even fiddled with off-road Hawkeye STIs. He even has room in his driveway for a Forester. What does all this say about the kind of guy he is and the kind of cars he likes to drive? I don't know. That's what I'm here to find out. Wait. Oh no. It's worse than I thought. Oh, this ain't no Miata. It's going to take a little bit to get used to the way this thing delivers power. It's kind of frantic and just grabby, and I don't want to say a bit much. It's very responsive. You forget that modern turbo systems can actually just kick ass like this, but this one does. So what have we got here? We have got something that is a sport sedan born of rally heritage. Built to be tough, not necessarily so light and nimble. Built to be fast, but to find grip at the extremes where most cars have already lost it. This, in effect, is a completely different beast. I might as well be reviewing a pickup truck right now. But does it scratch that itch? Yeah, I think it does. My good friend Corey, who's allowed me the borrowing of this car for a few hours today, he loves these cars. Subaru is life to him. Everything in his driveway is Subaru. His wife's car, which this is technically, is Subaru. His car, which is a WRX and is currently following me, is also a Subaru. Everything that he does is focused around the ideals of driving in the fashion that's presented by this car. Which again, it's not exactly graceful or fluid or beautiful like I might feel an MR2 or a Miata might be. That kind of rear-wheel drive flowing bias. But it's angrier. It's more purposeful. It has the desire to do the things that it's meant to do, and it's not going to be compromised by things that stand in its way. Whereas in a rear-wheel drive car, you're not so much compromised as you adapt to the things that get in your way. Loss of traction, for example. The whole sport of drifting was built around people who learned to adapt to a sudden loss in rear wheel traction. So they turned it into a sport. They overcame and improved on it, and even learned how to incorporate oversteer as a general rule into their daily driving. Rather, into their daily racing exercises. It's become a big part of motorsport as a result. A car like this doesn't have time for that nonsense. It's heavier, so it's not as sprightly, but it's got a lot more power, so it's faster. A car like this comes from an ancestry of having a dirt track upbringing. It's designed for rally. It's designed to be rough around the edges. But here I am, getting my butt cooked with heated seats on suede and leather in what could arguably be the nicest car I've driven in the past several years. It's not a sports car in the traditional sense. A lot of people like to argue with me over this, and I can't for sure say that my definitions are correct, but to me a traditional sports car is a two-door, Sometimes you get away with making it a front-wheel drive. A lot of people did in the 90s. Think your Ford Probes, your Mazda MX-6s, those sorts of things. Your 3000 GT front-wheel drives. Those are sports cars. Yeah, ugly as it is to say it. But sports car attempts to be light. It's typically two-door and puts performance at the peak of its selling image. So yeah, they're going to look good, and in so doing, they're going to communicate with you that they're fast. Think your 3000 GT, think your MR2, think your Miata, think your Ford Probe, think your 3000 GT, your Dodge Stealth, your Camaro, your Corvette. Those are sports cars. Your Lamborghinis, your Ferraris, of course, sports cars. This plays by a different set of rules, and I respect that. You know, I've had a weird relationship over the past several years with Subarus as a whole, because everything in me wants to not like them. The unequal length headers and the exhaust burble to me always made it sound like the engine was struggling, like it was just not as efficient at doing the same job as a Toyota, a Honda, a Mazda, a Chevrolet. It just wasn't as capable of doing the same job, and therefore I would always look for excuses to say that as a result they have problems. That's not so true though. You know, I've got one of the most reliable brands in history right now, and at 115,000 miles and a 60,000 mile engine, it's not super reliable. Who knows what's causing it problems? At least with a Subaru, you have a chance of knowing what's causing the problems. They're nothing if not predictable. And that's something I think that can be appreciated here. This thing, it's a special place to be. I really, really feel nurtured and catered to in here. The camera can't pick it up, but I am sitting relatively far back from the driving position, seat scooted back, but I have this steering wheel telescoped all the way out, and I have got a beautiful 90 degree or maybe even 85 degree angle in my elbows right here for the perfect driving position. This is where I like to be. And it handles good. Again, it's just different. There is no sense of lightweight tossability here. It's heavyweight. The equipment's there. It's designed to do this. Intentional functionality. That's what this car feels like. And I can absolutely respect that and appreciate it. This car is for those who know what they want to do. Now, unlike the dirt-going Subaru that's in my buddy's driveway, this is a track-built car. They really have done away with the purposefulness of being a rally car. And in so doing, they took away a little bit of its charm. You know, I remember when they first started showing this new generation coming out, we were a big fan of the hatchback WRXs and STIs that came out in 2008 through 2012, and the hatchbacks were just beautiful. Everybody wanted one. Then they brought in the four-door variants of those same hatchbacks, and it was, we didn't really care for them. Then they brought these out, or they debuted these, and everybody said, these things look like a Hyundai Elantra. And they did. They look like a Hyundai Elantra. They look like the most boring car you could imagine with a wing slapped on it. It was just, what on earth are you doing, Subaru? But then they went through a few years, and then they started showing them, and I will say that this car is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's not a rough and rowdy dirt car. As it sits, this car is built currently for 350 wheel horsepower. Now, where do we get that number? Well, there's a whole wide variety of mods done to this car just in the time that my buddies owned it. And are those dyno-proven numbers? They're actually not. These are numbers that are the reported results of other people who have done these same mods. car might actually be as fast as my Camaro was. The thing is that the Camaro didn't have that low, low RPM V8 torque cannot compare with an early onset turbo boost. This thing is tuned so nicely that the boost comes on just absolutely right of way. There is no turbo lag with this car whatsoever. It's just right there. It's immediate and it's vicious. As such, this has the potential to be genuinely faster than your standard V8 muscle car, which would be, in my case, from what I've experienced, the LT1 Camaro, and by extension, the LT1 C7 Corvette. Same engines, same general practice and setup, a little bit longer wheelbase in the Camaro, but this has the potential to be generally faster. I love the early onset torque. I love the boost, the way it kicks in. I love the frantic power of this car. I don't feel bored. I don't feel like this is done by a computer. This is a very quick car. I think I want one. Ain't nobody ever said there was anything wrong with having more than one sports car. You can have a different one for the vibe you're having today. And for me, this is real fast. This is good. This is real good. The MR2 obviously has its place, and hey, I will argue. Some people call me, full of it. But just based on the confidence in that MR2 alone, there are certain corners and certain tracks on which the MR2 will outrun this thing. There's a whole lot of tracks and a whole lot of circuits where the MR2 will never see this thing after the first time it gets passed again. So this car is very fast in a different way, much more like the Camaro was, but it feels better. I have more confidence with this. This car isn't trying to kill me. The STI, the way Subaru has built them, this car deserves and earns its horsepower. The horsepower that it has is not too much for the way the car is set up. All-wheel drive is really the answer when you want to talk big numbers, and I'll stand by that till the day I die. I really think that the best rear-wheel drive car will always be in the neighborhood of 300 to 400 wheel horsepower at the most. All-wheel drive, send it, brother. Sky's the limit. Granted, when it comes down to the drive, the things that we're really on about here, the things that we really enjoy, big horsepower doesn't really result in nice, enjoyable drives. Big horsepower is fun for some, and that's their jam. That's cool by me. I like the area between 300 to 400 horsepower, and I like it in a car that's able to handle it, such as this one. So, my buddy tells me he's done some mods. Let's have a look, see what exactly we've got here. This car has been converted to take flex fuel. As a result, it makes 350 wheel horsepower and 380 torque. Apparently that's at the wheels. Now, interesting story on this. This is not dyno proven. This is many other people have done the same thing, and that's what they got on the dyno. So, I love those kinds of numbers. Tell them spending a bunch of money at a dyno. If you've got a good idea, just run with it. It feels fast. We have 1050X injectors, an AEM 340 fuel pump for all that lovely corn syrup. We've got a Cobb Big SF intake with an airbox. We've got some Perrin engine dress up, which I'll tell you looks lovely. This car has TN H-Tech lowering springs. He wanted it as stiff as possible without dropping it. Apparently ground clearance is important to my friend. And lastly, it has an STI Performance exhaust, also known as an SPT catback. When he added this exhaust, apparently he had to chop it up immediately, this nice $1,300 exhaust that he got for significantly less, and add a resonator because of ridiculous quantities of drone. So, those of you with your Subarus looking for an exhaust, drone, bad. Lastly, he has an NVIDIA downpipe. So, Nothing crazy. This same dude a couple years back had a GC8 that he did a full STI swap into, full WRX interior, and then he completely built the bejesus out of the motor. And the thing was fast, and I mean violently fast, as in made a lot of built V8s angry fast. But it didn't last long. That's one of the reasons why I've always had kind of a problem with Subaru, is that was my hero car. I loved that car. I was there when he built it, I helped him, you know, and then it blew up. And I felt like it shouldn't have. I felt like if a car can't handle this kind of modification, then it's inherently bad to begin with. It's always struggled. But then you get something that's nice like this. You know, this has a car payment. It's got warranty. It's got heated seats. It's got a reverse lockout. It's got a backup camera. It's got a digital LED dash. I mean, it's a beautiful, wonderful car. And he's built this to do Uber and Lyft driving primarily. And as such, he's added more sound deadening, improved the stock stereo system. It's a pretty put together car, and it's not light. I mean, I'm over here thinking about taking the carpet out of my already light MR2, and this thing has weight added, and it's violently fast. Violently fast. I like it. So the mods have definitely worked out. Let's keep rolling, see what else we can get from her. I believe for sure that this car has the stated 350 wheel horsepower. I mean, I can feel it. It's spunky, that's for sure. It may be faster than my Camaro was, and that was 455 at the crank, so rated about 400, 415 at the wheels. I would say that this is probably an equally fast car. The weights, once you get above 3,500 pounds, as long as you're staying close to that, I guess I don't worry about it so much. It's a heavy car, and that's just how it's gonna be. So you learn to live with that, you learn to accept it. So, okay. But yeah, I mean, this is a 32 to 3,300 pound car, I think. Currently riding on about 350 wheel horsepower with an E85 upgrade, a little bit of downpipe, a little bit of intake, no big deal. It feels fast. I really like it. If it's a little bit frantic, that's for sure. But again, it's just that difference between purposefulness and the elegance, balance, and beauty of rear-wheel drive and mid-engine, or lightweight, whatever have you. It's that difference. This car feels like it will do some very, very fast things if you simply ask it to. It feels confident, it feels competent. I like it, I really do. I understand why this is so special to my friend. He has put a lot of his life in the past several years into making sure that he can both afford, care for, and love on his Subarus. This thing has some stepping around that it does as well under power. The center of your lane is no longer the center of your driving path. It's more like the center of the road. So that double yellow, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's part of the experience. Not a big deal. We're all good. This car simply wants to go where you point it. Under acceleration, it's a little bit more sketch. I guess that's called crab walk. This car does seem to have at least a little bit of that. Or the road is, or could just simply be all-wheel drive. One downside of not knowing the car you're riding in is how to change the heat settings. So instead I'm going to have to sacrifice a little bit of audio quality in order to cool off just a little bit. Hello, doggo. Say one thing for this car, it doesn't scrub under cornering the way my R2 does. I dig it a lot. Whew, that's good, man. That's good. It's a different kind of handling. I'm so used to lightweight, glide over the surface, grip, just assume you have it. This is so different. It is set my 4 tires here in the corner, bolt them to the road, and then let's move the road with us and tear up new pieces of asphalt the whole way. That's what it feels like. I don't know if that's an apt description, but the grip feeling is so different. It's like a cat on a curtain, and that cat's climbing the curtain, and you say, get down from there, cat, but the cat's scared, and so you start pulling on the cat, and you pull it this way, and you pull it that way, and the whole way down, this cat's just tearing like long streaks in this curtain. But that's what this grip feels like. It's like, this thing is not gonna let go, but it may be too fast for you, so it may just not let go until you're off the edge of the road. Who knows? You know, it'll send you right over there before you're ready for it, is what it feels like. Not that it's gonna lose traction, never. Again, it's like it's bolted to the road, but that the acceleration you may undercalculate and end up off the side of the road as a result. It's wild. It's completely different. All the while I'm feeling very top heavy and like I'm sitting up, you know, king in the castle style. I mean, I had a 2015 Silverado that didn't feel much different from this. I loved it. I kind of want one of these. You know, the boxer engine has kind of been a long time thing for me where I'm just like, oh, why? I don't think I care as much anymore. This car, the personality, the champion heritage behind it, it's worth it. I understand, I really do. Sure, it's a little top heavy, sure, it's a little less than floaty and elegant, but it's very determined. Very, very determined. It's going to do what you tell it to do, come hell or high water. And it's going to do it in a way that will impress every time. Number. I love it. I love it. I get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of back and forth. Sure, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have a car that weighs 2,000 pounds and have a Subaru. Why the hell not? I mean, that's what I want. The next video I'm doing of my buddy's cars, I'm actually going to do his WRX, which obviously is going to have significantly less horsepower than this car, but I am a really big fan of the styling on it. He has done such a good job dressing it up and making it look right. I'm a pretty big fan of that car. I don't know if I'm ready to be pro Subaru and pro STI, but I'm definitely pro this STI. Guys, I don't know if there's anything else I can say that hasn't already been said about this wonderfully built car. You know, props to my buddy Corey, who is a master technician, has had his hands in more of my vehicles than I care to count, has spent more time wrenching on vehicles as a general rule, and has built some of the wildest Subarus that this town, Tulsa, Oklahoma, has ever seen. Props to him for yet again turning out an absolute masterpiece. This thing is gently modified, maintains its reliability, maintains its warranties, maintains everything that makes putting down a big monthly payment worth it, yet it's legitimately fast. Legitimately. I would be happy to drive this on any windy road, any autocross, any racetrack, and I'd feel confident behind the wheel of it. So shout out to him. Dude's a stud. Dude knows what he's doing behind an impact. You know, guy knows how to work on a car. And with that, I think that's all I've got, guys. I think I've beaten this horse to death. End of the story. I love it. It is so wildly different from everything else that I am a fan of, being lightweight rear-wheel drive cars. It's wildly different, but it's good. It challenges my baked-in notion that you have to be lightweight to be good. I have got really unrealistic expectations of cars in that they need to be light, they need to be light, they need to be light. Or if they're heavy, they have to have ungodly horsepower. Well, I guess this car takes care of that, finally. So, thanks guys again for watching. Please, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me over on Instagram at inspired_drive. Guys, I'm having the time of my life growing with you. I'm having just a killer time. Every one of these videos, all the people involved, I'm enjoying myself. And if I somehow find a way to go from what I'm currently doing in life to this, I think I'd just about be the happiest man alive. So thank you again, guys. Please, again, like, subscribe, share the video if you liked it, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care.